during the month of Rajab, in the 9th year after migration. This was after the conquest of Makkah. This is after the conquest of Makkah. This is 6 months after the Prophet ﷺ became father to his another boy, Ibrahim radiallahu anhu. After the threat from Quraysh had neutralized, after the threat from Khaybar was neutralized, and this is after the conquest of Makkah, now the Byzantine Empire, the great Eastern Roman Empire, considered this growing state as a threat to their own power. The Prophet ﷺ received intelligence that Emperor Heraclius has mobilized a force to enter into the peninsula, and the Prophet ﷺ responded to this by making a public open call to arms, an open call to all of the believers to mobilize and gather to protect the state and to address this threat. It was at a time in that region where the dates were about to harvest, a very crucial and important time. It was very hot, and the dates were about to be harvested. They could not be left alone. They could not be left unattended. And the journey to Tabuk, which is in northwest Saudi Arabia, that's about a 450-mile journey. The only time in the Seerah, in the life of the Prophet, where he actually disclosed where we are going and when we are going was this battle. It's also called the Jaysh al-Usra, the expedition of hardship. 30,000 Sahaba responded to the call, but not 30,000, not all of them were equipped to take on such a journey, to go and defend the religion with all of everything that is needed. They did not have that. So the Prophet ﷺ made an open call for everyone to pool their resources, to give whatever they could, to put forth whatever they had, on top of just kind of like we are dealing with inflation and very hard times, at a time where there was significant loss potentially in the horizon by leaving all of the dates alone. And yet Umar radiallahu anhu came up with half of everything that he had. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu brought everything. He gave a blank check. Take it all. And everyone, based on their capacity, gave whatever they could. Whatever they could. And we understand this from an incident that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, that the munafiqeen, they weren't really about trying to help out, and they would just bring whatever they had just to keep face, but even those who could not afford much, when they brought some dates, they would be like, oh, bhai sahab, oi, what are these? What is this handful of dates? Oh, this is gonna move the army, right? Your handful of dates, oh, really, that's gonna push it through. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called them out on this, because it's about the initiative. It's about doing what you can. And as a community, yes, things may be harsh, things may be hard, or not. And yes, there are all of these other calls that need to be addressed. We don't forget about everything else that's going on in the world. But at the same time, this is what we call our masjid. And as a community, pooling together our resources is something that we learn from the Seerah. It's something that we learn from the Prophet ﷺ, something that we learn from the Sahaba, that we give whatever we can, but give nonetheless. Give nonetheless. So inshallah, the hope from myself and everyone in here, that we should not leave the masjid at all empty-handed. And what do I mean by empty-handed? Because what you put forth is actually what you are going to get. So don't leave empty-handed, in the sense without being able to contribute and putting your support in this particular appeal and cause.